Hello everyone. So it's 5 o'clock now, and I think it's nearly beer o'clock. So hopefully this won't take long. My name is Sid, and I will be presenting on hacking Oracle databases from web applications. Specifically, I will be talking about some exploitation techniques for exploiting SQL injections in web applications against Oracle database. So SQL injection is nothing new. I mean, if you have not heard of SQL injection, you probably are in the wrong room. So for last 20 years, we've had exploitation techniques in SQL injections refined. We've got some modern state-of-art tools for exploiting SQL injections, but they're mostly concentrated against MS SQL. When it comes to Oracle, there are not too many tools. So hopefully, this talk will provide some answers to those questions. So a little bit about me. I work as a pen tester for a company in UK called 7safe. I'm not an Oracle geek, so it's quite unusual, to have an Oracle talk at DEF CON and not talk about 0 days. So this particular talk is not focused on any particular 0 days against Oracle databases, but mainly focused on what exploits can be used from web applications to achieve certain things. So that's the agenda for today. So I presented this talk at Black Hat yesterday. I have reduced some slides, so we will not be talking about extraction of data, and if anybody is interested, I highly recommend that you go through the original slides, which I will be releasing on the DEF CON website. Towards the later half, we'll talk about PCI compliance and some holes in PCI compliance. We'll look into that. So why am I talking on this topic? Because it's DEF CON, and we love SQL injections. So there have been n number of talks on hacking Oracle databases, but sadly, most of the talks have been on interactive exploitation. That is, if you can connect to the Oracle database, if you are on the internal network, then you can hack Oracle database pretty much. But all these talks have been on interactive exploitation and not so much from web application side of things. There are no free tools for hacking Oracle databases by exploiting SQL injection vulnerabilities. Even there are a few commercial tools which I know of which target Oracle database, but the techniques which I found out used by these commercial tools are outdated. So if you are exploiting, say, an 11G via SQL injection, these tools may not work. Before we start, I would like to thank David Litchfield for his pioneering work in the field of Oracle security. Most of this talk is inspired from his work. And we would also like to thank Alexander Kornbust and Ferrum Mavituna for helping us prepare this talk. OK, so those of you who are not aware of Oracle database, when you install an Oracle database, it comes with a number of default packages. These default packages have considerably reduced in 11G. If you compare an 11G with an 8i, maybe the number of default packages have considerably reduced, but still there are quite a few default packages. And these packages will have a number of procedures and functions. By default, these procedures and functions runs with the privileges of definer. So an easy way to understand this is to compare this with SUID files in Linux. Like SUID files in Linux runs with definer privileges. Similarly, you have these procedures and functions by default running with definer privileges. So to change that mode of execution from definer to invoker, you must declare this keyword authid current_user in the declaration of that particular procedure or function. So this is something which we all know about. How do we hack Oracle from internal networks? In a nutshell, if there is a SQL injection in a procedure owned by sys and public has execute privileges, then whatever you inject gets executed as sys. So you can elevate your privileges, become sys, and once you have sys permissions, then you can execute OS code. So in a few steps, that's how you go about hacking Oracle database from internal network. You first enumerate SID, which is the database name. You then enumerate some common users, Scott Tiger, sys, change on install, some weak passwords. Once you have done those two steps, then you connect to the Oracle database. So you will be connecting with some unprivileged users, hopefully. Once you connect to the Oracle database, then you find one such procedure which you can execute, which runs with the privileges of sys maybe, and has a SQL injection. that will let you become DBA, grant you DBA role on that user. And once you have DBA, then you can execute OS code. So all of this can be done with via Metasploit, and this was shown by Chris in last year's DEF CON talk. For example, this was one such procedure which was available for public and was patched by Oracle, I think, a year ago. sys.lt.merge_workspace was one such procedure. So you inject into it the string semicolon and scott.dba is equal to y. So essentially, the function scott.dba, which you created, then executes with the privileges of sys. Hence, the user Scott end up with the DBA privileges. So it is important to know that scott.dba must have auth ID current underscore user defined. If you don't define this in your function, then again scott.dba will be executed with Scott, which you probably don't want. Okay, so that was hacking Oracle from networks, which has very well been documented. Now, when it comes to exploiting SQL injections against Oracle database, it's important to understand that in Oracle there are two classes of this vulnerability, if I may say so. So that's because Oracle has two coding languages. It has PL/SQL and SQL. So PL/SQL is one coding language embedded in Oracle, which is really powerful. An easy way to understand PL/SQL is to consider this as a free-floating code wrapped between begin and end. So you have begin, end, and in between that you can have n number of statements. So you can have procedure 1, procedure 2, and so on and so forth. Okay, but the second language, the SQL in Oracle, is actually quite limited. And the SQL in Oracle, by design, does not allow execution of multiple statements. And that is one thing which differentiates exploitation of SQL injections in Oracle against that of MS SQL. So like, for example, in MS SQL, if you have a SQL injection in a select statement, then you can end that statement and issue a next statement like exec xp_cmd shell or drop database. You can't do that in Oracle because Oracle, by design, in SQL does not support execution of multiple statements. So what are the challenges in exploiting Oracle from web apps? Obviously, SQL in Oracle does not support multiple statements. OS code execution is not as simple as executing xp_cmd shell. Not enough documentation and not enough tools available. So based on these two coding languages in Oracle, you can have two classes of vulnerabilities. You can have a PL/SQL injection vulnerability, or you can have a SQL injection vulnerability. So a PL/SQL injection is when the user's input is used in a construction of an anonymous PL/SQL block, and then that block gets dynamically executed. That would typically be a PL/SQL injection. And if you find a PL/SQL injection, then a PL/SQL injection is nothing different from having an interactive access to the database, because then you can run multiple statements. So then it's that is not different from having an interactive access. However, you can also have a SQL injection, which is injection in a single SQL statement. In that case, there are a few restrictions. Like we said, there is no semicolon allowed, and you cannot use nested queries. So here is an example of a PL/SQL injection. So this is one PHP code which connects to the Oracle database with a limited user privileges, Scott user. And so this coder has obviously followed some best practices, and he's taking the parameter name and he's binding that parameter into that SQL statement, which is passed on as an input to the procedure scott.test. So obviously that particular statement, if you look at $SQL, it does not look like it's vulnerable to SQL injection or any such thing, because the parameter is bound to the query. However, if you look at the actual code of the procedure in which this input is passed, then you will find that all this procedure does is takes the input, which is the name of a procedure, and then wrap that name between begin and end, hence constructing an anonymous PL/SQL block, and then execute it dynamically with execute immediate. So, when people talk about SQL injection defense, they talk about using bind parameters, but one must understand that there are limitations of using bind parameters. For a functionality such as this, you cannot use bind parameter. Obviously it does not mean that every time you write code it is vulnerable. You can use some sanitization functions, but you cannot use bind parameter for this particular functionality. So this particular example is vulnerable to PL/SQL injection. So how do we exploit this? David Litchfield showed an exploit at Black Hat DC this year, which allows the user with just create session privileges to grant himself Java I/O permissions. And once this Java I/O permissions are obtained, then OS code execution is possible. This particular issue was fixed by Oracle in CPU of 2010, April. So this is how the exploit looks like, and you can use it from web applications. Essentially, so if you look at our scott.test procedure, I have passed the argument as null. So basically, I'm saying the procedure to execute is null, which is okay for Oracle. And then the next statement is execute immediate, and that execute immediate has the entire exploit code, which will give the current user Java I/O permissions. This was basically a logical flaw in the package DBMS JVM export permissions. I mean, this is talked in detail by David Litchfield, so I'll skip this. So that particular exploit would give your current user Java I/O permissions. So that essentially is a privilege escalation. Once you have Java I/O permissions, then you can call a function which is available in the package DBMS Java test, and the function is called funcall. This function takes as an argument a class. The second argument is the method within the class, and the other arguments are the arguments passed to the method of that class. So there is, by default, one class in Oracle, which is the Aurora UTL wrapper. And this default class in Oracle has a main method, and then that main method, by default, allows OS code execution. So if you have Java I/O permissions, you can call this function and pass this argument, and this will basically result in OS code execution. So PL/SQL injection vulnerabilities are not very hard to are quite common actually, and the best place to look for these vulnerabilities is in the Oracle applications itself, so the code written by Oracle themselves. I mean, if you look at the history of Oracle application servers or Oracle application portals, starting from maybe 2001, 2002, there has been a series of PL/SQL injection vulnerabilities. I mean, I was going to talk about doing a privilege escalation via PL/SQL injections, but the fact is that most of the PL/SQL injections in Oracle products have been quite privileged already. So talking about privilege escalation does not make sense because already the code executes with higher privileged users. Right, so now we move on to the main agenda for today, which is SQL injection. So this is SQL injection 101. Essentially, that does not need any introduction. Unsanitized users input is used in SQL calls. So for example, something like this, if you inject :or1 = 1, this will alter the logic of the SQL query, and this will return all the rows. So you can use SQL injection to compromise confidentiality, integrity, availability, blah, blah. I mean, this is right. So let's get started. Exploiting SQL injections. What do we do with exploitation of SQL injections? So when we say exploiting SQL injections, it can have different meaning to, you like the picture? All right. Okay, so exploiting SQL injections may mean different thing to different people. It could mean that somebody may be after sensitive information within the backend database. If your database contains credit card information, then for me, if I can get the credit card information, that is sufficient. I may not be interested in running OS code on the box. So extraction of data is typically one of the aims of SQL injection, but that is not the end goal of a SQL injection. A database may not have sensitive data, but it may be connected to the internal LAN, and there may be an attack vector by which, if you compromise the database, you can pivot your attack and go on compromising the internal network. So extraction of data is actually something which has been documented quite well, and I will not be talking in this 50 minutes of slot. Essentially, extraction of data can be divided into two categories. When the error messages are enabled, then just like in MS SQL, you do typecast conversion errors, and you extract the data within the error messages. You can do similar things in Oracle. When the error messages are disabled, you can call union queries. You can do blind injection. Then if if the front end does not give you clues about blind injection,